Karen Wilkins wasn't the type of girl anyone expected to make headlines, yet in one shocking night she went from a quiet coffee shop worker to the most wanted face in Maple Ridge after smashing her vape on a cop's head and vanishing without a trace. The sun had barely dipped below the horizon when the calm town of Maple Ridge was shattered by the roar of a speeding car. The echo of tires screeching across the asphalt tore through the evening quiet, drawing the attention of anyone close enough to hear. It was a silver hatchback, darting through the narrow streets like a ghost on the run. Behind the wheel was 19-year-old Karen Wilkins, her knuckles white as she gripped the steering wheel, her eyes darting between the empty road ahead and the flashing lights that grew smaller in the rearview mirror. Her heart pounded so violently she could feel it in her throat, yet she pressed harder on the gas. Something inside her had broken, something that couldn't be undone. Just hours earlier, Karen had been another ordinary face in Maple Ridge. She worked part-time at the local cafe, saving up for college, known to customers for her shy smile and easy laugh. No one would have imagined her at the center of a police chase. That afternoon, she'd left work in a hurry, frustration bubbling under the surface after an argument with her manager. It wasn't the first bad day she'd had recently, but it felt heavier, like the world had chosen her as its punching bag. As she drove home, her thoughts spiraled until she saw the flashing red and blue lights behind her. She was being pulled over for speeding, something simple, something routine. But for Karen, it felt like the final spark in a powder keg ready to blow. The officer approached her car window slowly, one hand on his flashlight, the other resting near his belt. He was calm, professional, unaware of the storm brewing inside the young woman he'd just stopped. As he leaned in, Karen's grip tightened around the vape pen in her hand. Her mind raced between fear and defiance, a voice inside her screaming that she had to do something, anything, to get away. Before logic could stop her, she swung. The vape struck the side of the officer's head with a dull crack. For a moment, the world froze, the officer stumbling back, Karen staring in shock at what she'd done. Then instinct took over. Her foot slammed down on the accelerator, and the car lurched forward, tires screeching as she sped off into the dark. In seconds, the quiet town she once called home became her hunting ground and her prison. By the time the clock struck midnight, Maple Ridge had transformed from a sleepy town into a buzzing crime scene. Police cars roamed the streets, red and blue lights painting every corner in chaos. Officers set up checkpoints on every major road, their radios crackling with updates about the girl who had attacked one of their own. Karen Wilkins had vanished into the night, leaving behind a stunned officer with a bruised temple and a mystery that spread faster than wildfire. The entire department was on edge. Nothing like this had ever happened in their quiet community. And now every local was awake, glued to their windows or phones, waiting for the next update. Within hours, Karen's photo appeared on every news outlet in the region. She was no longer the friendly barista people recognized from the cafe. She was now the Vape Girl Fugitive, a nickname that quickly went viral. Her classmates couldn't believe it. Some defended her online, saying she must have been scared or provoked, while others accused her of being reckless and unstable. Rumors began to fill the gaps in the story. Some claimed she had been drinking, others said she was part of a protest gone wrong. The truth was that no one knew what had driven her to snap so suddenly. Detectives dove into her background, expecting to find warning signs, but there were none that stood out. No criminal record, no history of violence, no involvement with dangerous people. Her social media pages painted a picture of normal life, posts about exams, late-night coffee runs, and weekend plans with friends. But beneath the cheerful captions, there were subtle cracks, vague messages about feeling watched, cryptic quotes about betrayal, and long gaps in her posting history. Investigators began to suspect that her meltdown was more than just an impulsive act. Something had been building inside her quietly for months. The officer she struck had only minor injuries, but the humiliation of being attacked during a routine stop burned deeply within the department. They vowed to find her, no matter how long it took. Karen, once an ordinary small-town girl, was now a fugitive hunted by the very people she'd grown up trusting. As police dogs searched the woods and helicopters circled overhead, the question on everyone's mind was the same: what could have pushed her to the edge so completely that she'd rather run from everything than face what came next? 2 days after the chaos began, the search for Karen Wilkins took a strange turn. Her silver hatchback was discovered parked near an old, half-abandoned gas station at the edge of town. The car door was unlocked, the engine cold, and the keys still hanging in the ignition. On the passenger seat sat an open backpack filled with clothes, a phone charger, and a crumpled receipt from a nearby convenience store. A half-empty bottle of energy drink rested in the cup holder, condensation long dried. It looked as though she had stopped for a moment, gathered her thoughts, and then disappeared into thin air. Detectives swarmed the area, looking for footprints, fingerprints, anything that could explain where she had gone. The security camera above the gas station provided the first real clue. The grainy footage showed Karen stepping out of the car just before dawn, wearing a black hoodie and a backpack. She didn't seem panicked, just focused, glancing over her shoulder once before walking toward the forest that bordered the highway. After that, she was gone. When the footage was released, public interest exploded. Online forums filled with speculation about her next move. Some believed she had hidden in the woods, surviving on supplies from her bag. Others thought she had met someone there, perhaps an accomplice who helped her escape. The theory gained traction when a truck driver claimed to have seen a young woman matching her description hitchhiking north later that same morning. However, by the time police checked the location, there was no sign of her. Investigators began to suspect the escape might not have been spontaneous. The way she ditched the car, the lack of panic on her face, it all suggested planning. They went back through her phone records and found a series of late-night calls to an unknown number, all made days before the incident. The calls stopped abruptly the night she fled. It was as if whoever she had been speaking to had vanished alongside her. As days passed without new leads, the case started to twist from a reckless act into a calculated mystery. People wondered if Karen had been pushed into hiding, or if she was running from something darker than the law itself. The image of a scared, impulsive girl was fading. In her place grew the legend of someone who might have known exactly what she was doing all along. A full week had passed since Karen Wilkins vanished, and most believed she was gone for good. Then, just as police resources began to thin, a park ranger 40 miles north of Maple Ridge stumbled upon something unexpected. Deep inside a wooded area near a remote hiking trail, he found a small, makeshift campsite. It looked abandoned, yet strangely recent. The ashes in the fire pit were still gray and fresh, and an empty water bottle lay beside a sleeping bag. Inside a torn duffel bag was a cell phone wrapped carefully in a t-shirt. When investigators arrived, they confirmed it was Karen's. Forensic teams scoured the device for clues, and what they found shifted the entire narrative. Several video files had been deleted, but technicians managed to recover fragments. The clips showed Karen sitting in a dimly lit room, speaking directly to the camera. Her face looked pale and restless, her tone a mix of fear and defiance. In one video, she appeared to be explaining herself, saying she had no choice but to leave. In another, she mentioned being followed by someone she didn't trust. Her final recording was the most unsettling. She whispered that someone was trying to set her up, claiming that if anything happened to her, it wouldn't be an accident. The videos stunned investigators. Until then, everyone assumed Karen had acted on impulse during the traffic stop. Now, the possibility that she had been running from something far more sinister came to light. Detectives combed through her phone's data, uncovering strange text messages sent from unknown numbers filled with vague threats and warnings. Each message had been deleted soon after being received, as if she was trying to erase traces of whoever was contacting her. Reporters seized on the new information, and soon the story spread beyond Maple Ridge. National news outlets ran segments suggesting Karen wasn't just a fugitive, she might have been a victim. Online communities picked apart every clue, comparing her videos to other unsolved cases and suggesting theories that ranged from stalking to police corruption. The campsite discovery reignited the investigation, but it also deepened the mystery. If Karen had been afraid for her life, who had she feared? And if her claims were true, the question shifted from where she was hiding to who wanted her gone in the first place. 3 weeks after the videos were recovered, the mystery of Karen Wilkins took one last haunting turn. A group of hikers exploring a remote area near the Coldwater River stumbled upon a weathered backpack tangled in the roots of a fallen tree. Inside were several personal items, a few clothes, a wallet with her ID, a cracked vape pen, and a small spiral notebook that had absorbed some of the river's damp air. The bag looked as if it had been there for days, maybe weeks. The hikers reported their find, and soon the area was crawling with police and search dogs once again. When investigators opened the notebook, they found pages filled with hurried, messy handwriting. Most of it made little sense at first, fragments of thoughts, strange symbols, and lists of places. But certain lines stood out, chilling and clear. They won't stop watching me. and he said they'd make it look like my fault. Those words reignited the theories that Karen had been telling the truth all along. Something or someone had terrified her enough to run, and perhaps even forced her into a trap she couldn't escape. Authorities searched the riverbanks for days, looking for any sign of her body, but nothing surfaced. The current was strong, and in early spring, the melting snow made the water even more unforgiving. Some believed she'd tried to cross and been swept away, her remains carried miles downstream. Others refused to believe she was dead at all. Online forums argued that the backpack had been planted to throw off investigators, suggesting that Karen had staged everything to disappear and start over under a new identity. In the months that followed, the case grew colder, but never faded from public memory. People began visiting the spot where her car was found, leaving flowers and notes as if it were a memorial. The officer she'd struck eventually returned to duty, though he admitted in one rare interview that he still thought about her every day. He said he'd never seen the look she had in her eyes that night, not anger, not fear, but something in between. To this day, no one knows what really happened to Karen Wilkins. Whether she was a frightened girl running from danger or a master escape artist vanishing on her own terms, her story lingers as one of Maple Ridge's darkest mysteries, a ghostly reminder of how quickly an ordinary life can spiral into legend.